Many years ago, when I was a national serviceman in the British Army, attached to the Royal Army Group Signal Regiment in Germany, I was the educational sergeant responsible for the education, I suppose, of the whole regiment. A heavy responsibility. I had to teach the soldiers geography and map reading and current affairs, that kind of thing. But of course, from time to time, the 18 Army Group Signal Regiment, to which I was attached, used to go into the field on manoeuvres. And I had the choice of either staying at home on my own or else joining them in the field and taking on some job that nobody else wanted to do. I remember one year, I decided I'd take charge of the sergeant's mess. That sounds an easy enough task, but you know, when the sergeant's mess goes into the field, they take every blessed thing with them, everything you can imagine. The tables, the chairs, the crockery, the cutlery, and the cooks, and I was responsible for all that. That wasn't too bad, but I was also responsible for the bar. And the sergeants in those days, as I suppose in these days, used to like their drink at the end of the day. That was all right. I looked after the bar all right, the whiskey and the beer and the creme de menthe and the cherry brandy and so on. But of course there was always one problem, and that was that the stock could very easily disappear. So I had to sleep with it. Now you can imagine this 18-year-old Salvation Army boy in the heart of the Black Forest somewhere in Germany, going to bed on a narrow camp bed with the stock around him, you know, whiskey on one side, beer on the other, and so on and so forth. I remember this particular evening, I was there on my bed, and the rain was pouring down on the tent roof, feeling very miserable. And I turned on the radio. To my amazement, I heard this magnificent poem recited by Margaret Rawlings, the famous actress. It was the poem of Vachel Lindsay, the American poet, entitled General William Booth Enters into Heaven. My whole being was stirred by this poem. And I wrote to the BBC and asked for a copy of it. And Margaret Rawlings kindly replied and sent me a copy of this magnificent poem, which later became the theme of one of the musicals that we did, John Last and I, entitled The Blood of the Lamb.
They shall come from the east, they shall come from the west, and sit down in the kingdom of God. Both the rich and the poor, the despised, the distressed, they'll sit down in the kingdom of God. And none will ask what they have made, provided that their robes are clean. They shall come from the east, they shall come from the west, and sit down in the kingdom of God. They shall come from the east, they shall come from the west, and sit down in the kingdom of God, to be met by their Father and welcomed and blessed, and sit down in the kingdom of God. The black, the white, the dark, the fair, your color will not matter there. They shall come from the east, they shall come from the west, and sit down in the kingdom of God. They shall come from the east, they shall come from the west, and sit down in the kingdom of God. Out of great tribulation to triumph and rest, they'll sit down in the kingdom of God. From every tribe and every race, all men as brothers shall embrace. They shall come from the east, they shall come from the west, and sit down in the kingdom of
General William Booth enters into heaven. Booth led boldly with the big bass drum. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? The saints smiled gravely and they said, He's come. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Walking lepers followed rank on rank, lurching bravos from the ditches dank, drabs from the alleyways and drug fiends pale, minds still passion-ridden, soul powers frail, vermin-eaten saints with mouldy breath, unwashed legions with the ways of death. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Every slum had sent its half a score. The round world over, Booth had groaned for more. Every banner that the wide world flies bloomed with glory and transcendent dyes. Big-voiced lasses made their banjos bang. Drums fanatical they shrieked and sang. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Oh, shout salvation! It's queer to see bull-necked convicts in that land make free. Loons with trumpets blow the blah, blah, blah. On, upward in the golden air. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Died blind, but still by faith he trod, eyes still dazzled by the ways of God. Booth led boldly, and he looked the chief, eagle countenance in sharp relief, beard a-flying, air of high command, unabated in that holy land. Jesus came from out the courthouse door, spread his hands above the passing poor. Booth saw not, but led his queer ones there, round and round the mighty courthouse square. Then, in an instant, all that blear review marched on spotless, clad in raiment new. The lame were straightened, withered limbs uncurled, and blind eyes opened on a new sweet world. Drabs and vixens in a flash made whole. Gone was the weasel head, the snout, the joel. Sages and sibyls now, and athletes clean, rulers of empires and of forests green. The host was sandaled, and their wings were fire. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? And their noise played havoc with the angel choir. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Oh, shout salvation. It was good to see kings and princes by the Lamb set free. The banjos rattled and the tambourines jing, jing, jingled in the hands of queens. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb, the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? And when Booth halted by the curb for prayer, he saw his master through the flag-filled air. Christ came gently with a robe and crown for Booth, the soldier, while the throng knelt down. He saw King Jesus. They were face to face, and he knelt a-weeping in that holy place. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb?